皆さん、こんにちは。Joanna です。Today I want to talk about phone apps that can be useful to learn Japanese. I will divide this video into two categories. So the first category would be Japanese learning apps that are useful for beginners. And the second category would be Japanese learning apps that are very useful all the way. So I still use them and I still find them very useful. So let's go. First two apps that I will recommend are apps to learn Hiragana. These apps, well, one of them is super like known worldwide, I think. It's Duolingo. I did use Duolingo 1 month ago, not because I ever used Duolingo, it's because I wanted to make a video for YouTube and for you guys to see how Duolingo was to learn Japanese and if I found it useful or not. The problem was I did record the screen of my phone and somehow the recording just disappeared or something, so I couldn't do that video. The thing is, a lot of my students use Duolingo not to learn Japanese per se, but to learn the Hiragana. So if you want to learn Hiragana, now that we have, nowadays that we have so many apps that are useful for us to practice Hiragana, I do recommend using an app to learn Hiragana. So for example, I know that Duolingo, a lot of my students use Duolingo and it's very practical. And in another app that one of my students, I remember when I just met her, usually when I start making classes with somebody, they usually don't know Hiragana and less katakana. I think I only met in all the classes and all the students that I had, I only met two persons that know both Hiragana and katakana when we started, that were beginners, I mean. So I asked her, wow, how can you know both Hiragana and Katakana so well? And she told me that she learned Hiragana and Katakana in 2 weeks with the Totormoku app. So that I thought, wow, this is super impressive. And from now on, I recommend it to everybody because if she did it in 2 weeks, both Hiragana and Katakana, Totormoku is awesome. I did try it to know how it was a few months ago and it was very good. So there it is. If you want to learn Hiragana and Katakana, use Totormoku for sure. I know it's not available in all the countries. I don't remember exactly who I recommended it to and they told me they couldn't download it. But yeah, Totormoku is super useful. And she learned Hiragana and Katakana in 2 weeks, so that's awesome. Moving on to apps that I recommend to practice as a beginner Japanese. The one that I want to recommend is one called Renshu. Renshu is again an app that a student of mine recommended me. Because when I started to learn Japanese, the mobile apps weren't already existed, but I mean, I don't know if I was like a little bit late, that stuff. But in 2015, I had one of those phones that when you press it, like the screen of the phone, when you press it, it zzz sound. You remember when the screens were so hard, let's say. So I didn't use apps to practice Japanese at all. I did use some web pages. But Renshu is one that the student recommended me and I downloaded it to try it out. And it was very good. You can practice vocabulary with it, kanji and grammar. So you have all the pack there. And it also sends you reminders like, hey, Joanna, you didn't study today. And you're like, okay, I need to practice. So it's very good to practice and have like a constancy of practicing 5 minutes every day. So I recommend also the app to practice a little bit with your phone and remember that, hey, it's time to study Japanese today for a bit. The other app that I want to recommend, it enters also in the beginner category, is the Kanji study app. So I bought this app probably 5 years ago. Probably 4 years ago I bought this app. It's not for free. I think there is part of the content is for free, but I bought it for 8 euros and it's a lifetime payment. So I have it for my life and I don't regret anything. I really enjoy this app. It's a very good app to learn kanji. So how does this app work? When I first started, the app had the kanji level divided with a JLPT and 5 and 4 and 3. So the kanjis were divided in that way. Now they are divided into, I think, the school Japanese system way or category of learning kanji, for example, elementary, 1, 2, etc. But still, the cool thing about this app is that instead of wanikani, you learn how to read both vocabulary and kanji. With this app, you don't only learn how to read the kanji and what they mean, but you also learn how to write them. It has a writing part that you learn how to write kanji with the phone, and that's super awesome. And also the tests that you can do with this app are very different. First, you have a test that is like multi-selection test. So for example, you have a word and you need to choose the correct kanji out of 8 kanjis. For example, I will put a picture over here. Then you have the writing test, as I explained. So you have the meaning of a kanji, the readings of the kanji, and you need to know how to write that kanji and what kanji was it. So that's the part that wanikani lacks and this app has. And then you can also practice them as flashcards, and you also have a reading practice. It looks like it's not completely for free. I don't know how it works. I didn't know about it till today that I checked to make the video. But it looks like there is a part of it that you need to pay or something. So I'm a little bit confused about that. I could access it without any problem. So it could be that it's the same payment that I said before. But basically you have a sentence and you need to try to read it. And then when you press, you can see how those kanjis would be read. So you can also practice reading with it. It's not only that, also as a kanji, let's say, dictionary is super useful because you can check out a kanji and you can see the writing order, the frequency of the kanji, the onryomi, the kunryomi, examples of words that are written with that kanji, and also example sentences. So it's very, very cool. You can also make your own categories. For example, let's imagine you are preparing for the N5 test. So you can search in internet what are the kanjis that usually appear in the N5 and put them into a category. And then you can make your own group and you can study that own group that you made. And also you can divide the kanjis into categories. For example, a red star, it means that you already know that kanji. An orange star, it means that you recognize the kanji. A yellow star, it means that you've seen the kanji. And the gray star means that it's a new kanji, that you don't know that kanji. Also, this kanji study app has hiragana and katakana to practice and to learn there. So if you decide to buy that app, you can just buy it, for example, now and practice hiragana, katakana with it, and then start with kanji. So kanji study app, 100% recommended. Then other apps that I recommend, but these ones would be already for more advanced Japanese students, are the apps that I still use to read, and are the Japanese reading app and the Easy Japanese Reading app. So these two apps are used to, you read news on those apps, and here I will show you how it looks like. So you press one of the news and you can read it in Japanese, and you can actually, for example, if you don't know how to read a word or you don't know what the meaning of a word is, you can press on it and it will pop up the meaning of it. For example, I put honto as an example. As you can see here, I pressed honto and it told me how it was read and also the meaning of honto. This would be in the Japanese reading app. Then in the Easy News app, it works very similar to it. So in this app, you can press the news, but you can also hear the news. So in the bottom part, you can put the audio and you can listen to the news. That's also very cool. And the news and the words are divided into colors, that those colors represent the level of those words, like the difficulty of those words. For example, I remember the colors, but green is N5, blue is N4, etc. But not least, I recommend Hello Talk. Hello Talk is a very famous app in the polyglot or language students community, because a lot of students are using it. That's why I recommended it. I gave it a try 2 years ago, but I didn't like it. Let me tell you why. The Hello Talk, it's like a Facebook where you can talk with people of different nationalities. For example, if we are practicing or learning Japanese, of course we would talk to Japanese people, but we do it through message. The cool thing about it is that, for example, if you write a message that is wrong, they will correct you and you can see what you did wrong and you can see the correction. For example, I write, watashi wa niku ni tabemasu. So ni is wrong. And then the person that I'm talking to will correct that message, and we will put, instead of ni will appear in red, they put wo. Niku o tabemasu. So that part is super cool. But what I don't like is that usually you talk with a lot of people and you just talk for 4 or 5 messages and then you don't really engage more into the conversation. So it's not really, if you do talk, you keep on talking about the same thing. Hello, I'm from here or from there, and then the conversation just stops. So you're not really engaging into conversation or into a friendship or anything. And also, I'm not very of a message person. I don't like instant messaging. I prefer to talk or by phone or in person. So, of course, that also could have influenced my opinion of the app. And it also has a part that it's like Facebook or Instagram where people make posts with their own language, and you can see like a picture. Today I went here and there in Japanese. So you can also practice like that. So I hope you like this video. I do have more things to recommend in the future. I plan to do a video about web pages that I recommend to practice and learn Japanese. And also I plan to do those videos about trying apps with my phone and showing it to you guys how it is, like with me explaining and talking and giving my opinion and showing how the app is and how it works. But I still need to figure out first how the recording screen goes. So thank you so much for watching this video and see you in another one. またね。ありがとう。